be no more. Welcome to the Last Star Wars podcast and to the second episode of our Resistance rewatch for the very first time. I'm your host, Spencer Chandler, here with my co-host, Christian Miller.
How's it going?
It's going good. I got to watch some Resistance.
Welcome to that. I'm gonna say that every week.
What?
You're welcome.
Oh, okay, you're welcome. Yeah. I very much have started liking the show like a lot more with these past few episodes. I feel like they're, for some reason, I don't know, they just keep getting better, in my opinion. It just keeps getting like more and more like Rebels-y, the more like First Order stuff we get into it. It's like, oh, okay. This is a very, very familiar feel to this kind of episode. Also, your shoulder keeps going in and out of blur, and it's kind of funny.
Sorry, I'm having an allergic reaction. It's a lot of seeds are being planted in these episodes. We're getting introduced to more characters, and a lot of those characters will be sort of present throughout the show. And a lot of the like plots for this season one the groundwork is being laid out, so it's fun.
Yeah, I like it. Well, would you like to let everyone know about the episodes that we are watching today, or that we watched for today?
So we're watching episodes 3 through 5. 3, The Triple Dark. 4, Fuel for the Fire, and 5, The High Tower.
Nice. Yeah, so those are the episodes we're going to be watching today. If you have not, or if you would like to, be able to listen to us while knowing exactly what we're talking about, then you can go watch those. They're free on Disney Plus with your normal Disney Plus subscription. So go check those out and then come back over and we can just talk about some fun Star Wars stuff. That's also because we don't really do synopsi. What's the plural of synopsis? Anyway, in these episodes, because it'd be a lot to synopsis multiple episodes. So we kind of just talk about it. So if you want to know exactly what happened, you can go watch the episodes. They're only like 20 minutes a piece, and then you'll understand completely what's going on. All right. So Christian, I watched this episode for the very first time, but you did not, I assume. Again, and I have to go back and like look at the first episode that we watched so I can remember what exactly it was. It was the Pirates, right? Was that before? Nope, that was the one before that.
The Triple Dark with the pirate attack.
Yes. Oh, I'm confused because IMDb doesn't have part 1 and part 2.
They listed the premiere episode as one episode.
Yeah. And so I was like, wait a second, we didn't watch the episodes. So yeah, we start off with the pirate episode, and that was cool. There's also the plot twist at the very end, I definitely thought that the guy was going to be First Order, which I guess technically he was. But yeah, let me go into this episode so that I can have some more things to say. Are these like, will the episodes keep getting better from here?
Well, I mean, it's got this it's got a different pacing than like the live action shows.
Yeah.
It's most similar to Rebels if you're going to compare it to another animated show because it has a central cast. That like there's no like anthology series or whatever. So like each sort of starting point of like a batch of like 10 episodes, or I think 12 maybe. Like the starting point and the end point are always like the most eventful. It's like they do like mid-season finales as well as the premieres. But there's also a lot of memorable, fun adventures in between.
Yeah.
Which, if you're really into just lore and plot, then you might be frustrated with those, especially if it's released week by week. But we're watching it 2 or 3 at a time, so it's we can sort of get a batch of the different styles.
Yeah, that's the thing. In watching this, I don't know if I could watch this show week to week and be as satisfied with it, because it's like 20 minutes, and I'd be like, watch 20 minutes of Star Wars here, and then I have to wait a whole nother week just to watch another 20 minutes. I'm like, I like watching it in batches.
Yeah. Well, for people who had cable, it's I guess they're more accustomed to it.
Yeah,
It's interesting to have a different perspective. But yeah, I just remember I wouldn't watch it live. I would watch it like Monday afternoons
Hmm.
after Sunday. It was always like a fun little after school thing.
Yeah, and we also get really like I know you mentioned this in the last episode, but we get a lot of good Niku stuff in these three episodes. Just becoming more of like an accidental nuisance um throughout his time. And again, the more he's just in this show and just like being himself, it, the more I just love him as a character, and I just can't get enough of him. We also got more of I would recognize the name as soon as I see it, but I can't. Whoever
Okay,
the short guy.
the guy that bets on the dart game.
Yeah, we get more
I
of
think
him.
it's like Killian or something like that. That's with a K.
Something like that. I honestly cannot remember. Um but yeah, we get more of them, which is great. Um and this whole episode is very just like I don't know what it feels like, but it feels good. It's just like a good old pirate saving some people from some pirate invasions while also having to deal with your old problem. I'm trying to relate it to like other Star Wars things I've seen, and I can't think of anything.
Who the
Like in
pirates are like.
Well, just like the feel of this episode. Like in the last episode, I was able to kind of like be like, oh well, this is very rebelsy, like when Ezra first gets picked up by that kind of thing. And now I'm like, this feels new. It feels fresh, which it's hard to do in Star Wars nowadays, I think. And I think you and I have talked about that within Boba Fett is that the worst thing, one of the hardest things to do is to make something that is with an old trilogy character and not make it just feel like the same thing again. And then try to make something fresh but also good. You know what I'm saying? Like try to do something new that's also not just like boring or monotonous or something like that. I mean, I think that was one of the bigger problems with Book of Boba Fett. But these episodes feel very, I don't know, it feels new and I like it.
What makes it more fresh for you?
Yeah.
What makes it more fresh for you?
Oh, I thought you said it's just more fresh. Um, I don't know. It's just like it made it honestly one of the big contributing factors is like animation style, and I know that's like a very duh thing. Um, but also just like while we I have said that it's very Rebels like, I feel like it is also very much its own thing, and we've also never seen this much in like the behind the scenes of what was happening during the New Republic First Order transition, which I think is cool because the only thing that we've seen from this, we've had so much what am I trying media about Clone Wars era, switching from the Galactic Republic to the Empire, and we've had so much of like the behind the scenes of the Empire because that's the entire like our person's point of view through that whole series starts off with him not being part of it and just like coming from nothing. And then we basically, within The Force Awakens, get thrown right into the resistance and right into that first like initial like battle. And like we're in it. And this is showing us like the behind the scenes, I think, of like what was happening before the First Order took over with like, it's still like the First Order was still very much there and was still like working behind the scenes before they ever took power over the New Republic, which I think is very cool.
Like focusing on a bunch of civilians that have their own, like, they have a concept of who they are in terms of the galaxy, and they don't really care about that.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason yet to care about a galactic conflict because it seems like something that's only in the past.
Yeah. And people are like,
so they pour it in, they pour all their energy into the racing and the economy of their own island, basically.
Yeah. And I
so
think that's
like
another
getting to
thing.
know that and like seeing how that changes.
Yeah. And that's another thing that I think makes it feel fresh for me is that this is very much like a lot of this is a racing show. It's like, oh, well, these guys, well, not as much in this episode, but like in the episode after this, that episode's about like a racer trying to pull one over on Kaz, and you know, like I've always wanted a show that just focused on, you know, like some sort of like weird thing in Star Wars that doesn't have to do with some galactic big thing. And so there are points in this show where I like forget that Kaz is supposed to be on a mission spying on the First Order for the Resistance, even though he mentions it pretty constantly. It's just like, oh yeah, he's like not just supposed to be having fun on this weird little like platform in the middle of this planet type thing. I don't know, it just like sucks me away from that, because in a good way, because I'm just like really enjoying all these like little things, you know, the little trouble he gets in with like the natives of the platform, you know, like he lost in darts and didn't pay his thing, you know, he's upset because he's not making enough money as a mechanic, and you know that, and also just wanting to race, but also he's on a galactic mission to like save the galaxy at the same time. And I love that he's having to go back and forth, even if Jaeger's the one who's mainly making him go back and forth.
Yeah. And so yeah, that first episode, the heart of that episode was his racing trophy that he refused to sell, and even though that his economic situation was so bad, like the year doesn't pay him nearly enough. That's something that's like kind of shrugged off. Is that like years like you need to work all the time and get paid like half a meal's worth of pay every week.
Yeah.
That's like there's no like I'm not gonna spoil you like for the whole show, but like it's not a surprise that like the show's not gonna deal with issues like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like in the second episode of today, which I guess is the third episode, that he can't we do address it. The fact that Kaz like, you guys get breaks
Yeah,
when talking with the other racers, and they're like, yeah, that's how working is. You get breaks. He's like, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to get breaks. So I mean, it's a
I
kind
don't
of
I'm not
address there.
yeah I just don't I'm trying to remember if it ever like changes that much or if Kaz just adjusts and gets better. But yeah, the trophy, I really like the symbol of the trophy because he's like
Mm-hmm.
that's him thinking back to his more privileged lifestyle where he was, you know, got into races because of his dad. But it was also something that was confident. It was confidence for him. He accomplished something, um, and like he can't let that go. And that's just like a very interesting thing that like even as dire as the situation is, he's not gonna let go of that because it means so much to him in like an intangible way.
Mm-hmm.
But then he does let it go at the end. He sacrifices the shine, the you know, the glossy trophy in order to save this little alien who's been bugging him the whole time.
And kind of
And
trying to kill him.
yeah, and so uh, he was going to. No, he wasn't going to sell it, but like the alien was like, "Yeah, I will accept that." But then the pirate attack sort of just blew everything up, and
Yeah.
I guess he just let him off the hook because he saved his life, even though he didn't thank him. Um, but yeah, we talk about attachments and that sort of debate within Jedi. He's not a Jedi, but like the protagonist sort of letting go of that. Um, it's fun to see.
Yeah. I also liked the whole getting rid of the trophy. I thought that was a really good visual of like, I think that's finally like a good representation of him realizing that he can make his own like, I don't know, it's what we talked about in The Last Jedi. One of the reasons The Last Jedi is great is, it doesn't, your past doesn't matter. It matters what you do now, because you can make your own like, I don't know, it was the thing that really ticked me off about Rise of Skywalker, but whatever, we won't go there.
Ah,
Anyway, I'm
stop.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna go there. Um,
And the Last Jedi was not saying the past doesn't matter at all.
yeah, I mean, it was whatever. We won't get into that right now. We won't get into that because I don't want to like feel bad about Star Wars. I want to enjoy Star Wars. Let's talk about Resistance. Um,
Jeez.
huh?
Um, so Kaz was nostalgic for when he before he got to the Colossus, and so he's thinking about his past accomplishments, or his, those intangible things that like keep him going, and it's look out for the things, not necessarily things, but maybe just characters or experiences in the next few episodes or the rest of the season that contribute to a new sort of formation of him. And just, all the different relationships he forms. I think it's one of the best things about the show is that it's about friendship between a lot of different people. And it's like less like archetypical as Rebels. Like Rebels is like, these are the like classic Star Wars characters.
Yeah.
A lot of these people feel like more like real people, not for better or for worse. It's just like they feel more ordinary, and they have to rise above that, and it's through their community that they do that. So.
Yeah, and I really like the fact that Tam is like just a normal, like she feels like such a cool character, but she's just a mechanic, and like in no other Star Wars media has like just a mechanic been that like felt like a super important character. I feel like
except for Rogue One.
Except for Rogue One, yeah. So I love
Buddy was a pilot in Rogue One, but he was just a routine. Like he wasn't a starfighter. He was like a cargo pilot.
Yeah.
So it felt the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
Tam.
Right.
I don't think we talked enough about Tam last week.
No.
She's another one of the more interesting characters in the show, and we see that in, I believe, or we see it in all the episodes, but like the things that I latch onto is I think it's in the third episode of this week, the High Tower, where we start to see the First Order set up shop, and her sort of different reaction than Kaz. And Kaz was being, again, a pretty terrible spy. He's like, I want to find out why the First Order are here. That's not something you say as a spy.
Especially around Niku, and he's just gonna go like, my friend would like to know why you are here. Yeah, no, I
look after with Pam.
Yeah, that episode is really good with her, because you also like, it's finally not just her. Like, while I do like that she gives Kaz crap because somebody needs to, because like he is not a good mechanic, and she's like the only one who realizes that he's not really a good mechanic. Like I also like seeing I like having more backstory for her character, and giving her like an emotional like arc, and not just like having her. I don't want her to like stay stagnant the whole time. A lot of times with like these shows, it's kind of easy to like focus more on your main character and kind of have your other characters be like, well, this is their like role, and they're gonna fill this role for the show. I feel like it's really easy to like stay in that because it's comfortable and it's easier to not mess up. But I always like it when a show can move past that and actually give their characters a good emotional like reasoning to do things, or just like go away from that typical archetype of like, oh, well, she's just the mechanic who doesn't take crap from anybody, who wants to be better than, who wants to, be something more than she is. I don't know. I liked that about the newest episode. That was, or I guess not the newest episode, the newest episode that we watched. We should probably go to the episode between though and talk about it for a little bit. The fuel for the fire. Oh, we also forgot to mention that at the end of this episode, we figure out that the First Order is the people behind the pirate attack. They're pulling a Palpatine. They're playing both sides.
Very interesting. They're basically paying pirates to ambush the Colossus, and then conducting diplomacy talks with Captain Doza, which is that the first episode Captain Doza is in?
Yes. No, Captain Doza's not in. Captain Doza's not in it.
He's in the High Tower.
Until the High Tower, yeah.
At the end of Fuel for the Fire, where it's just a First Order scene. But yeah, they're as we later find out, they're doing diplomacy with Captain Doza to be like, these pirate attacks are getting out of control. You need a military force, you need a militia. we can offer that. And
Yeah.
it's like a toxic relationship, and it's very frustrating to see it all happen, and this sort of like the deals that go on and people like compromising their beliefs and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. When the second episode of today, which was episode 3, Fuel for the Fire. This is I think this episode maybe could be overlooked, but I really like it. I thought it was good. Um, we got Elijah Wood playing Chase Brooklyn, which is I did not catch that until looking at IMDb. So I'm gonna have to go back and like listen to him and just be like, oh look, there's Frodo. Um, but yeah, so this is basically the episode where this is our racing episode for the week. Um, Kaz is supposed to be working on this engine, but instead he goes and like I get, are they trying to like, so they purposefully sabotaged Kaz's bike so that he would have to be saved by Rucklin so that then they could get, that's such a convoluted plan.
It's like a it's they're taking advantage of like a lonely kid, and like being like it's like they know the value of like friendship, but they're using it like for their own material like pursuits. Like I don't know, like they're just taking advantage of him. Yeah, it's very obvious that he's just like, hey, can we see your ship? That'd be really cool if we could see your ship. And he's like, no. He's like, oh, okay. You wanna go racing?
Yeah, and it's like, what would have happened if Kaz just died?
And we wouldn't have a TV show.
Well, I mean, yeah, but like we're talking like logistically here, like their plan kind of is not foolproof. Like there's a very possible chance that he could have just died, and their plan would have been like, well,
He would
oopsie
have. I think
daisies.
it would have moved on. Maybe he's killed someone before.
Yeah, maybe he has. Wouldn't surprise me, honestly. I do like his crew though. They seem like, I mean, they at first I was like, oh, these people seem like really cool people, and then they started giving each other looks when Kaz went down into the shortcut, and I was like, oh man, I kind of wanted to like these people, but they're also like, I don't know. It feels like Rucklin's the only one who's like really a terrible person. 'Cause it feels like he
Yeah,
came up with the idea,
because they
and
were they were warning him like, hey, your ship is going to blow up, and he's like, I don't care. I read on this forum online that
it's
the more the better. So
it's okay. Yeah,
I'm just gonna put all this hyperfuel into the ship.
yeah. And so as much as it's like, as much as I think that they're all not great, I think that Rucklin's probably the worst because he's the one who's just like, I feel like he's the one who makes all the plans and is like, this is what we're gonna do, and they're just like, whatever.
Issue is that I think they should have made him more comedically stupid. I
Instead of
think they
just
should
like,
have like he's kind of still played straight. I think they could have made him even more dumb because
mm,
what he's doing on the surface is like really really dumb. The hyperfuel thing, and then at the end where Kaz saves him, and he's like, "This is all your fault. I'm no longer a racer. I don't have a ship. I saved all this money, but you destroyed it. This isn't over, Kaz. This is all your fault." Like that is
it's
the
such a
dumbest
funny
logic
line,
ever. Yeah, but I think they could have like made it. I don't know. They could have painted him more like an idiot just to like
or
make
like
it
a
more
or like a
hilarious.
crybaby, like that would have been funny too. He's like,
I
somebody,
guess it's like it's. I think it's because Kaz is like. I mean, obviously they're not gonna. It's a. It's best. It's for the best that Kaz is not the sort of sarcastic character. You don't really need that as like a kids show protagonist that is like, oh look at this guy, like a Han Solo kind of thing. Like
yeah, because then kids
so
start doing
maybe
that.
so maybe I was just projecting my own reaction as if someone were being like, "This is all your fault." And be like, you do realize that you tried to blow yourself up. So maybe
Yeah,
that's just a personal like projection there.
yeah. Um, well, later in the episode, we find out that Jaeger was a part of the rebellion,
Yeah,
and that he was on the Battle of Jakku. Why does everybody want to freaking go back to Jakku? Well, okay, never mind. This was after. I guess this was right after The Force Awakens. So they were like, all right, Jakku. Was the Battle of Jakku? Oh yeah. That's where all the remains of like that stuff that Rey is exploring came from.
In the premiere of Resistance. Oh, where's his jacket?
The jacket.
What happens to post jacket in Force Awakens?
The Finn takes it, right?
Yes. So what does that mean?
Oh, this is before The Force Awakens. Well, I mean the show came out right after The Force Awakens. Right?
In the real world?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. I knew this was before The Force Awakens. I just meant like in real world years. This came out after The Force Awakens.
I wasn't sure because I think I didn't make that clear last week. Or did I say that it was, I don't know.
Pre-Force Awakens? Yeah. We did. We talked about it. This is pre-Force Awakens stuff. So before all the Rey, Finn, and stuff. Because we get a little bit of like he was on the Battle of Jakku, and he had
a wife and kids.
What are the okay? Am I stupid to think that Tam might be his daughter? She calls him boss too much. There's no way.
I don't think no. There's no picture, or the picture that doesn't look like Tam. And the show's already over. So, no.
Okay. So you're just telling me no, that's not true. Okay, sweet.
Yes.
Sweet. But yeah, so a little backstory about Yeager, and then we realized that he's not such a bad guy after all. I mean, I liked that conversation between him and Tam in the room where he was like, "Hey, just give him a break. I gave you one," and then at the end, he lets him clean his parts outside, which is pretty awesome.
Still gets distracted and lets the engine parts fall off
again. Dude, he let those engine parts fall off like 2 or 3 times this episode. And that's really funny.
But yeah, so I mean, you said he's not such a bad guy. I doubt you thought that he was terrible, but like,
no.
What do you think now, knowing that he was in the rebellion, and what does that make you feel about how he was talking to Poe about the Resistance?
It makes me realize why he thinks that way. Like, I mean, I think that I don't know. So he doesn't really like believe in the Resistance, I think. I mean, that's definitely, he doesn't think the Resistance is like worth it, is his kind of big thing. I think that comes a lot from like, that could easily be like he fought in the rebellion, and now the First Order is just like here. Like, it's almost like the rebellion didn't do a whole lot because they saved from the Empire, but now the First Order is just here.
But what do you think that means about his thoughts?
Oh, I don't know, man. I just think a lot like that fighting against like this huge thing and losing a bunch of friends, and that can really cause a person to, not want to participate in anything like that anymore.
It definitely has that sort of pain, I think, that's motivating a lot of his actions.
Yeah. I think it makes him kind of it feels like he wants to just like stay as far away from anything like that again as possible. It's almost like he doesn't even want to it's almost like he doesn't even want to participate or even think about anything like a rebellion or a resistance anymore.
I'm sick of this mic stand.
I'll send you a link for a new one. But anyway, yeah, I like.
Birthday's in 2 months.
It is. I really like this new like addition to his backstory, and I think it puts a lot of his views into perspective. And he doesn't just seem like this really cynical guy anymore. He seems like a wise old man who like knows why he feels that way, and it's like for a decent reason.
I agree. Partially. I don't think he fully knows why he feels that way. But that's with the luxury of knowing the later episodes. I don't think he's fully processed his past, and I think he's sort of
Mm,
running away in a lot of ways. Um, but in a way that makes him think that he knows what he's doing
yeah.
because because he's got some semblance of control. He's got more control over his life than Kaz does.
Mm,
As an older person, he just like thinks that what he's doing is something that he should continue doing. But what I like about it is that it's almost like Kaz is not Kaz as a mentor, but Kaz is the catalyst for his own change, as opposed to like Obi-Wan ushering Kaz on this or Luke on this adventure.
yeah.
Kaz coming up and showing up in Yeager's life is like a wake up call to know that the fight doesn't end, and your responsibility to go against evil is not like a thing that ends once you're an adult.
Yeah. 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 This episode was really good. And like I said, I think it can be easily looked over because it's just like, it seems like just another racing episode. But I think there were some good things, like we're talking about with Jaeger, and like to give us good backstory to like some of these characters and why they are the way they are. And yeah, I liked it a lot.
Now we
Um,
got the High Tower.
yes, the High Tower, which we start out by I love when episodes are like in the very first like 5 minutes, or even like in this case, the first 30 seconds of the episode. Like, all right, here's the thing that's going to be important for the episode. Here's your new comm links. Like, I always think that's funny when episodes like start out with this thing, and in the moment it seems like such a nonchalant thing, and then later it becomes like one of the more important parts of the episode. That is this episode, right? Did they get the comm links? Yeah, yeah, it is.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm looking at it now because it's also the same one that he takes away Niku's comlink after he talks with the first order, because the first order show up and Niku's like, "Hi, my friend would like to know why you are here," and then he takes away his comlink and uses it to spy on the first order. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He uses a comlink in um the Triple Dark, but it's he uses the other guy's comlink.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking at first. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Um, but this is a good heist. It's not really. Would you consider it a heist episode?
They don't really take anything.
Yeah, I just used heist, and then it wasn't a good heist episode. But we get more hype phase on in this episode. Um, and we also, like we were talking about earlier, we get the Tam backstory.
Sort of
Which
just said their dialogue, not really felt. Um, but I don't really want flashbacks in the show. But yeah, it's sort of like a
yeah,
simple way of saying, oh yeah, we were somehow friends, even though there's not really a sense of like this like 16-year-old girl being friends with this 30-year-old pilot is what it seems like.
yeah. I think he may be a lot younger than we think he is. Probably. Um, who knows? He just feels like much older. Um, also, Cass is a you. I think you might have said this a minute ago, but he's a really terrible spy in this episode. He's like
But yeah,
the
it's there's not a lot of good spying on Kaz's part, but that's the fun of it is to see like this bumbling kid
mhm,
try to figure out how to do what he's doing. Because like not everyone has the force, not everyone uh knows how to fire a blaster well, and not everyone has this like innate charm. He has basically none of those things. He's a good pilot, um, but there's so many different contexts for which or in which someone could fly. Um,
mhm,
that like I don't know. He was actually pretty good in the premiere episode when it came to a fight, but like I don't know. It's encouraging to see a character not sort of guided by destiny and all the physical feats that he does.
yeah. I also, I really like the character design of Major Von Reg. I love the red stormtrooper armor. It looks so cool. Um, I may just be, I may be slightly biased because red's my favorite color. But also
No, but
quick.
like definitely like some of the if you're one of those like trooper heads of Star Wars, people who are like, oh yeah, I know all the different clone distinctions and the phases and the weapons. Like there's plenty of in this show for those kind of fans, and
Yeah,
especially because it has a unique feel because Resistance sort of draws the design, like the designs for the stormtroopers are in a particular way, and um, everything about it feels unique. It feels like everyone is lankier as well,
yeah. Everyone is very lanky.
and the
There's nothing
jaws
wrong
of
with being lanky.
the jaws of the helmet feel like wider.
Mm,
Um, yeah, you just like there's definitely a lot to love when it comes to troopers.
yeah. I'll also quick trivia. This is really funny to me, but Captain Doza, the actor, do you know his name?
I forget.
It's Jason Hightower. That's really funny. I like that. Um, anyway, do you think they named this the High Tower after him because that's where he is? No, probably not. That's
They
probably
probably cast. I think they were probably drawn to casting him because of the set.
yeah. That's funny. It's like, well, but then you have also like Hype Faison, who's named after the actor who plays him.
I think it's a different situation. I don't know because they would have. I feel like they would have designed the Colossus long before all the characters.
Oh yeah, but they didn't have to call it the High Tower. They could have called it anything else, and still had it been a tower. That's what I mean. I don't think they only put a tower in there because of this dude's name. I think they called it the High Tower because of his name. That's what I want to believe. That's my headcanon. As some people say. I don't get it. But anyway.
What do you
Um
think of his design?
of the Dozas, I
Mm-hmm.
like it. It's very like imperial, but also like you can tell like I like that it's sort of imperial because it gives you the vibe of like I don't want to trust him, but also I know that he's technically the good guy ish. But it puts you just enough with the imperial style uniform to kind of get a taste of
Yeah.
his character.
It kind of like the Empire was already sort of based on like Navy officers, I
Hmm.
think. Um, so it's fun to like sort of trace his costume design to like real like more something more obviously nautical with the blue and gold.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, he's cool. And then Toradoza has a completely different look because she's an ace, and her design I remember from the behind the scenes videos. Um, she was designed by Amy Beth Christensen, who's been on Star Wars since like I think the Clone Wars as a designer, character designer, and she was like in a dirt bike family, which I didn't know there was such a thing as a dirt bike family, but just a family that rode
Yeah.
dirt bikes or something.
Yeah.
And so she incorporated those like armor pieces or the protection that dirt bikers wear into Toradoza's look,
I
and
like
it
it.
makes her seem like a modern sort of like because like in universe she's like one of those like young prodigy athletes, so it feels like it's a Star Warsy version of that.
Yeah. Also, Jason Hightower has the exact same mustache as Dosa, which is really funny.
Maybe it was more modeled after him than I realized.
Yeah, he doesn't look anything like him except he has the same mustache. That's it. Uh, anyway, yeah, no, I really like Tora's character design, and she has no right to treat uh Kaz with any respect, like she does in this episode, like or to be nice, like has no reason that she has to be nice to him and be like, well, I'll save you from them, I guess, you know, like she's met him once and it was for them to race, and then she was very much just like I'm gonna win. But the fact that she's also a nice person is like makes me like her. Like I like it when the people who are really good at these things are nice people. it's like regular sports athletes. You don't expect them to be nice people.
She's in this like luxurious high tower, literally, um, away from everyone else on Colossus, and it feels like why wouldn't she connect with the first person that is from the outside and coming in? Like
Yeah,
she probably feels like she wants to go outside and not be stuck with just her dad and the aces.
yeah. She
Um,
probably grew up like in that tower too. So I
oh yeah, there's we get to see this is a whole show. We get to see all kinds of things about not their past directly, but like she's definitely another one of the main characters to explore. So
awesome. I'm excited
good
because
stuff
she's on
ahead.
the poster. She's on like one of the main posters of the when you go onto Disney Plus and you like look at the thing. It's like Niku, Tam, Kaz, and her, and she's like the second one. So I
Yeah,
assumed that she was going to be a major character.
It's funny because when the show came out and they were like, or it was about to come out, and they're like, here are the aces. They're a group of ace pilots, and blah blah blah. Here are their names, and I'm like, oh okay, this is like a super team of like pilots. We're gonna really spend time with them, and then the show comes out, and it's like, no, it's like not really about the
They're there.
pilots at all. But yeah, it becomes another better thing. Um, it's just interesting that like what you're saying is that like none of the aces are like the central people on the poster except for Tora.
Yeah, yeah. I also feel like this is really funny because like in most of the times that most of the time that we cover shows, we try to like predict what will happen next. I cannot even begin to predict what will happen next in the show. It's like,
But I have to refrain from saying it.
yeah, no, you can't. My best guess, um,
I'm
dude,
trying to like draw the themes and the emotional beats out and be like, here's what to be excited for, but I'm trying to say as little about the plot as possible.
yeah, yeah, I understand. I can't even like be because this show is all over the place in a good way. Like, like each episode is so much different than the one before it that it's almost impossible for me to predict what I think is going to happen next. I just don't. I can't. Um,
I
but
believe
I
it's was it in the high tower where he runs into the guy cleaning the floor?
maybe.
Okay, I will spoil that. So he is, I forget his name. I think his name is Tebow or something like that. Just look for him anywhere you can. When he shows up, it's always a delight.
Is he just one of those characters that just shows up all the time?
Well, you see that with a bunch of characters because it's a highly populated place, but it's not super populated. They use a lot of the same models. Um, that you'll start to recognize background characters like the one of the notable ones that was in the background that we see more frequently, and I think Triple Dark is the like um, Herbert looking guy from Family Guy, the guy who's like Herbert the pervert, basically.
Oh yes, the guy who's like, "You can come sleep with me," or
Yeah,
"You can come
he
live
didn't
with
say
me."
that, but
You can come live with
uh,
me. My bad.
yeah. But like I think we saw him in the background in the first two episodes, but then he comes up, and you'll see him in the background at other times.
Hmm.
Um, but there's especially a great sort of fun that's with the guy who cleans the floors.
That's funny. I don't remember seeing him. He may be in a future episode.
Within one of these three.
Oh, I don't remember it. I'm not gonna lie. I'll go back and look for it though. Um, but yeah, I'm really excited for where this show is gonna go. I'm very much enjoying it, and I wish I would have watched it sooner. You can say you're welcome. Yeah, and I'm never gonna hear the end of the fact that I enjoy this show that Christian told me for years to watch. So, you know, it is what it is. I'm enjoying it, and I'm ready. I'm already ready to watch the next couple episodes. What episodes are we covering next week?
Okay. We got Children from Tehar,
Mm-hmm.
Signal from Sector 6, and a personal one of my favorites, Sonara's score.
Sweet. So yeah.
What would you guess happens in a general sense over the course of those 3 episodes?
So um, children from Tehar. I'm gonna assume that either means that Kaz like meets these kids and something happens. You gotta help them for one reason or another.
That's right.
Okay, cool. Signal from Sector 6. I'm gonna assume that this is some resistance mission that Kaz has to go on because some dude sent out like a beacon. And it's like, help me please. And he's like, cool, I'm gonna go help this guy. Am I right?
Right?
Okay,
Yes.
sweet. I'm trying not to read the descriptions of the episodes below them, and then after I say it, I look down and realize that I'm exactly right, and it looks like I'm. And then Sonara's score. I feel like that's going to be our racing episode of the three. And Sonara's going to be a racer, and Kaz is going to like have to help them, like win the race.
Okay, that one's incorrect. So were you looking at the thumbnails?
I was looking at the thumbnails, which did help me
Okay,
a
so
little
you
bit.
saw the child in the first one, and then you saw the X-Wing pilot helmet.
Yeah.
Okay. I was trying to get you to say it, like, just from the titles.
Oh, okay. Next time I will do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I did. I mean, he did wear that helmet when he raced in the race. I think
No,
no, he
I think it
didn't.
was
No,
a
he didn't
different
because
one.
he was undercover.
Yeah. But yeah, that's for that little moment of time where I thought you were like legitimately guessing things right. It's a promising segment. So we'll do that
Wait,
next week where you don't see the thumbnails.
wait, I don't see the thumbnails, and you'll just tell me them so I don't look them up and be tempted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That'll be fun. Well, do you have anything else to say before we wrap up the episode?
Well, we forgot to do our This Week in Star Wars thing.
Oh yeah,
And
let's do that.
mine for this week was a tweet from Todd Vaziri, who's a special effects person. He does VFX and he's very active on Twitter. And he showed a clip from Attack of the Clones of the Battle of Geonosis. And there's a big shot of like gunships shooting and droids shooting and all these droids going through. And then he zooms in and slows it down. And you start to see in the background the CGI model of a shock, which is the big bottom heavy cow that Anakin surfs on.
Mm-hmm.
They inserted it into the Battle of Geonosis just to fill space. And I think that's just wonderful.
That's really
And
funny.
there's another part of it. Someone from the art department um didn't see that, like they didn't comment on the joke of it, but they just they built on the behind the scenes sort of story of it, and I'm trying to find what they said. That's a bit far back. Okay, here it is. Oh, they were saying that the ATTEs were miniature models in Attack of the Clones.
Whoa.
Never mind.
Put it in front of your
They
face.
they built. Just take my word for it. What you see is an ATTE, and they
No,
built it.
just put it in front of your face. It should unblur it.
Um,
Yeah, see?
see the
Nice.
shot.
Yeah. What the heck?
Slow it down. You see it?
Wait, I thought I did, but now I don't. Just send it to me and I'll look at it. Or just like retweet it on our Twitter account and I will look at it. Um yeah, I didn't really have any like big Star Wars things happen this week, so hopefully I can give you a better story next week whenever we record. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of our Resistance rewatch for the first time. And if you would like to find us on any of our social medias, you can find us at Last Star Wars Pod on Instagram and Twitter, or Last Star Wars Podcast on Facebook and YouTube. If you'd like to get a hold of us, you can email us at the Last Star Wars or at laststarwarspod@gmail.com. Let us know what you think about these episodes. Let us know what kind of things you want us to do on the podcast. We always like to hear some recommendations, or you can just say, hey. And last but not least, go into the first link in the description. It's going to be StarWarsNowThis.com to find all the Star Wars podcasts you can ever dream of. And last but not least, thank you once again for listening to this episode of the Last Star Wars Podcast. And we'll see you next week.